Strengthening existing collaborations with socio-civic partners have always been at the core of our grant-making initiatives. We believe that by tapping like-minded organizations
God our Father, we ask you to be with us during this day as we listen to Dr. Gina and reflect on the challenges we face in our times and how we might respond to them in an effective way to be able to make a difference for our people. We know we face many challenges and difficulties, but we also know that with your grace, we're able to overcome them. We ask you to be with us as we reflect, as we share, and as we commit ourselves to work together to bring about change, to bring about a better situation for many of our people, especially those most in need. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. With the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
So please take your seats. Thank you very much, Father Nebras. To formally welcome us all, may I call on Dr. Maria Luz Vilches, Vice President of Higher Education.
University President, Father Bobby, Mr. Chito Sobrepeña, President of the Metrobank Foundation, Mr. Philip Francisco D, that's full name, or our Boyet, Executive Vice President of Metrobank Foundation, Father Ben, Dr. Gina Echanova Alampay, and other Ateneo Metrobank Foundation awardees. I see Dr. Manny D here. Thank you for coming. Friends from both here in this university and from other neighbor universities, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I warmly welcome you to this presentation ceremony and public lecture by our 2024 Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher, Dr. Maria Regina M. Echanova Alampay. We celebrate today one of the testimonies of excellence with a heart. To be outstanding is a title that sets one apart from mediocrity and insipidness. It is about being salt of the earth and light of the world. In Matthew chapter 5, we hear Jesus says, and I quote, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." End of that scripture quote. So we are grateful, personally, I'm very grateful to Gina for her willingness to stand out for God's greater glory. In her public lecture today, we shall recognize her great generosity and endeavor to help in the realm of mental health and well-being. That's not an easy path to tread. For bacterial infection, one may be easily able to find some antibiotics there somewhere to cure it. But with mental health, nothing much of this kind will help. It's a world of its own that needs care, compassion, people-to-people interaction, and other creative forms of intervention. Gina can elaborate some more on these matters in her talk. For now, this warm welcome is just meant to say, let us celebrate Gina's service to the greater community. And we also would like to thank Metrobank Foundation for its tireless work in setting the standards for excellence among Filipinos in the service of the nation. For all this goodness around us, there is no such a thing as being, I quote, too full of the milk of human kindness, end of quote, as Lady Macbeth puts it, because the world needs all the kindness we can give for the sustenance of humanity. So let's enjoy the celebration this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlu. This presentation, ceremony, and public lecture is a partnership between the Ateneo de Manila University and the Metrobank Foundation. So to give his message, let us welcome the President of the Metrobank Foundation, Mr. Aniceto M. Sobrepeña.
Father Bobby, Dr. Marlu, Father Ben, Gina, Dr. Manny D, members of the academy, students, friends, stakeholders, magandang hapon po. Today, we honor one of our 2024 Metrobank Foundation outstanding Filipino teachers, Dr. Maria Gina M. Hechanova Alampay, and most especially the institution that nurtured and sustained her. As fate would have it, we are doing this ceremony for the first time at the George SKT Learning Innovation Wing of Arete, here at the Ateneo. This space is dedicated to fostering creativity and learning, and it is named in honor of Metrobank's late chairman, Dr. George SKT, a champion of education whose vision and generosity continue to impact the education landscape of our country. This year is a significant milestone as Metrobank Foundation commemorates its 45th anniversary. As you have seen in the video, our theme is A Heart That Serves. This is a reminder of the shared core values that drive our work: passion, excellence, and a deep commitment to service. These values resonate deeply with all of us here today as we continue to be active participants in helping shape the future of Philippine education. It is a yearly tradition since 1987 that the Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipinos are presented to the executive and legislative branches of government. This year, we already presented this batch in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, and for the first time in the Supreme Court. At the end of this month, we shall also bring them for a conferment ceremony with the President of the Republic of the Philippines in Malacanang. These ceremonies across all the three major branches of government affirm a shared commitment to national pride and unity. They remind us that outstanding citizens are not just honored for their individual accomplishments, but for embodying the very ideals that our institutions hold: integrity, service, excellence, and justice. Through this recognition, we celebrate not only their accomplishments, but also the institutions that safeguard the principles upon which these accomplishments stand. As we close this year's search cycle, we look forward to 2025, since it will mark the 40th year of the Metrobank Foundation search. This recognition program began in 1985 as the Search for Outstanding Teachers. That was the original name. Over the past 4 decades, I'm very pleased to share with you that Ateneo de Manila University has produced 18 outstanding Filipino teachers. Palakpakan po natin. A remarkable testament to this institution's unwavering commitment to academic excellence and public service. Today, we celebrate yet another esteemed Atenean educator, Dr. Gina, whose dedication to the field of psychology and mental health continues to make a profound impact. Our teachers are entrusted with the responsibility of nurturing not only the academic potential of our students, but also their mental and emotional well-being. Supporting the mental health of our students is of utmost importance, particularly as they encounter increasingly complex challenges in today's fast-paced world. By empowering our teachers with the knowledge and tools to provide preventive care, early screening, and timely interventions, we can cultivate safer, more supportive learning environments where every student can thrive. Our Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher Awardee exemplifies this mission, setting a high standard for holistic education and serving as role models in promoting mental health and well-being in schools nationwide. Ladies and gentlemen, as we listen to the lecture of Dr. Gina, let today be a call to action as we work together to create a future where education not only imparts knowledge but also nurtures the holistic well-being of our students. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to express our deepest gratitude to Ateneo de Manila University, represented by the President, Bobby Yap, for its unwavering support and partnership with Metrobank Foundation. We were especially honored to have had Reverend Father Roberto Bobby Yap as our member of the final board of judges, those that select the batch for the particular year in 2023. Of course, Father Jet Villarin also served as our board of judges in the selection of the Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Journalists. Ateneo's dedication to academic excellence and service to the nation has been instrumental in shaping generations of excellent educators and leaders, including, as I said, 18 outstanding Filipino teachers. And I also like to mention that we are an award-giving body that we track the performance, we track the service of our previous awardees so that at certain points in their careers, we come back and honor them again. And we call it Metrobank ACES, Award for Continuing Excellence and Service. And I was given a note here that 7 out of 60 ACES awardees are from Ateneo de Manila High School and University. 6 of the 39 higher education awardees are from Ateneo College. And overall, all the ACES awardees so far, Ateneo has the second highest number of all the awardees, meaning our award allows them to continue their advocacy, inspires them not to rest on their laurels. So we hope that more and more former awardees become ACES awardees. Our awardees get 1 million pesos each, and the recognition to the 3 branches of government. But our ACES awardees is just bragging rights. As I graduated from this university in 1973, I have the honor to recall the many partnerships Metrobank Foundation have had with the Ateneo. We had supported many financially challenged college students through our Metrobank Scholarship Program, especially during the time of President Nebres. In line with our capacity building initiatives, the Foundation has partnered with the Ateneo Center for Education Development, as well as the Ateneo Center for English Language Teaching under Marlu before. And through our professorial chairs program, we were privileged to have promoted scholastic excellence in the faculty, in the Ateneo School of Government, ASOG, and later on with the Ateneo Professional Schools, including the Bienvenido Nebres Professorial Chair Endowment. And of course, our legacy project, which is this wing, very close to our hearts, the George SKT Learning Innovation Wing at the Arete. Father Nebres, President Bobby, Marlu, and others, rest assured that Metrobank Foundation will continue to be a committed partner of this university in our common pursuit of educational excellence in the service of our God and country. Mabuhay ang Ateneo, mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. Sobrepeña, and welcome home. As Sir Chito mentioned, this presentation ceremony and public lecture is part of the recognition events of the Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipinos program since 1985. Now, let us call on Mr. Philip Francisco U.D., Executive Vice President of the Metrobank Foundation. Yeah, I know, right? Quite a mouthful. To lead the presentation ceremony of our 2024 Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher.
Thank you very much and good afternoon, everyone. The Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipinos, now recognized as the country's most prestigious and sought-after career service award, pays tribute to the excellence and sacrifices of our Filipino teachers, soldiers, and police officers. Ordinary individuals who have dedicated themselves to a lifetime of service to their fellow Filipinos. Since 1985, the program has already recognized a total of 715 outstanding Filipinos, of which 384 are teachers, 172 are soldiers, and 159 are police officers. These are extraordinary individuals whose work, values, and advocacies radiate excellence. Each awardee receives the Medallion of Excellence, the Flame Trophy, and a cash prize of 1 million pesos, net of tax. Teachers are shining testaments who give us the assurance that the future of the Filipino youth and our nation are truly in good hands. Our 2024 Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher from Ateneo de Manila University has transformed the landscape of Philippine psychology, leaving an enduring legacy in the fields of organizational psychology, mental health, and addressing substance abuse. With over 2 decades of dedicated research and practice, she has not only advanced academic discourse, but also driven tangible societal change through various community-based initiatives. Please join me for a warm applause for Dr. Maria Regina M. Hechanova Alampay, Quezon City's mental health champion. Apologies for the technical difficulties. We were hoping to show a very nice video about summarizing the accomplishments of Dr. Alampay, Hechanova Alampay. We will take the opportunity later to show it again once we've resolved the technical difficulties. But for now, please join me again in welcoming our 2024 Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher from Ateneo de Manila University, Dr. Maria Regina M. Hechanova Alampay. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. We're going to watch that. I'm sure it's very good. Okay, we will. So congratulations to our very own Dr. Gina. We are very, very proud of you. We will now proceed to the recognition ceremony of the Ateneo de Manila University. May we call on the program manager and head of the Excellence Awards Unit of the Metrobank Foundation, Mr. Kenny Ralph Fernando.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. In today's occasion, we acknowledge the Ateneo de Manila University for its continued support to the Metrobank Foundation, particularly for the annual search for the Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipinos. We thank the Ateneo de Manila University for its annual submission of nominations and for promoting the search to qualified educators. In fact, the Ateneo has been among the institutions with a high number of awardees since 1985. And this year, Ateneo proved once again that they are a bastion of quality education by producing its 18th Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher in the person of Dr. Maria Regina M. Hechanova Alampay. To present the plaque of recognition to the Ateneo de Manila University, may invite on stage Metrobank Foundation President Chito Sobrepeña and Executive Vice President Philip D. Allow me to read the citation. Metrobank and Metrobank Foundation presents this plaque of recognition to the Ateneo de Manila University in recognition of the exceptional achievement of its esteemed faculty member, Dr. Maria Regina M. Hechanova Alampay, Professor of the Psychology Department, who has been conferred with the distinction as one of the 2024 Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipinos. Presented this 8th day of October 2024 at the George SKT Learning Innovation Wing, Ateneo de Manila University, Quezon City. Signed, Arthur VT, Chairman. Signed, Aniceto Sobrepeña, President. And to receive the award on behalf of the Ateneo de Manila University, may we call on Father Bobby Up, the President. As well as Dr. Marlo Vilches, Vice President for Higher Education. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Ateneo de Manila University.
Thank you very much, Sir Kenny, and the Metrobank Foundation, and congratulations as well to all of us at the Ateneo de Manila University. In the 39 years that the Metrobank Foundation has recognized educators, such as Dr. Gina, it has recognized a number of other Ateneo faculty members, as you heard from the numbers. To acknowledge past Ateneo awardees, let me call on once again Dr. Marlo Vilches to present our past awardees.
Since 1985, 17 other teachers from the Ateneo de Manila University have been honored by the Metrobank as outstanding Filipino teachers. These teachers come from the different units in Ateneo de Manila University, from the grade school, high school, and college. First, Mr. Onofre Pagsanghan, 1985, an esteemed teacher, playwright, stage director, and founder of Dulaang Sibol in the Ateneo de Manila High School. In 2004, Sir Pagsi, as he is called by his students, was among the very first recipients of the Metrobank Foundation Award for Continuing Excellence and Service. Dr. Ramon Reyes, 1987, known to generations of Ateneans and philosophers as Doc Reyes, left quite a remarkable legacy in introducing existential phenomenological thought in Philippine philosophy. Dr. Marijo Ruiz, 1992, was a Filipina mathematician and professor of mathematics who chaired the math department and pioneered the management engineering program in the Ateneo de Manila University. She was also conferred with the Metrobank Foundation Award for Continuing Excellence and Service in 2004. Ms. Esperanza Chi Ki, 1996, senior teacher who spent 40 years molding thousands of students at the Ateneo de Manila High School. A cum laude graduate of Divine Word College, she taught primarily at boys' schools and pursued graduate studies at Ateneo and UP Diliman. She authored educational materials and earned recognition for her dedication to student learning. Dr. Maria Asunta Cuyegkeng, 1997, is a professor of chemistry and now also a professor of education and leadership. She served as the second vice president for the Loyola Schools and is currently the executive director of the Lily Gokongwei Gochua Leadership Academy at the Gokongwei Brothers School of Education and Learning Design. In 2009, Achut, as she is fondly called, also received the Metrobank Foundation Award for Continuing Excellence and Service. Ms. Julia de la Cruz, 1998, was a passionate mathematics teacher who transformed her students' understanding of the subject by focusing on deep thinking, patience, and logical reasoning. With 26 years of teaching experience, she emphasized that learning should be centered on the student, not the subject, and her influence was reflected in the intellectual growth and gratitude expressed by her students, colleagues, and family. Professor Doreen Fernandez, 1998, was a prolific Filipino writer, an admirable teacher, a fascinating cultural historian, food critic, and scholar whose research and writing centered extensively on Philippine theater and Filipino cuisine. She taught literature, writing, drama, and Philippine life and culture at Ateneo de Manila and became chair of the Department of English at one time and chair of the Department of Communication at another. Dr. Maria Cristina Astorga, 2000, is a theologian and for a good number of years served as professor of theology and chair of the theology department in Ateneo de Manila University. She is currently serving as a chairperson and professor at the theology department of the University of Portland in the United States of America. Dr. Ricardo Abad, 2001, a sociologist, served as chair of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology and the Institute of Philippine Culture here at Ateneo de Manila. Dr. Abad also established the university's Fine Arts program. He was also awarded the Metrobank Foundation Award for Continuing Excellence and Service in 2009. He had been the artistic director of the Arete until his demise in 2003. Mr. Renato Carvajal, 2003, was a CLE values education teacher for 38 years in the Ateneo de Manila High School. Rising from humble beginnings, he co-authored the Jesus series and edited magazines for religion classes. He earned multiple awards, including a Hall of Fame award as a PAASCO accreditor, transforming catechetical instruction into a meaningful and enriching experience in schools across the Philippines and beyond. Dr. Quina Lee Chua, 2003, is a full professor at the Ateneo de Manila Mathematics Department and a licensed clinical psychologist. She is also an awarded writer and columnist who has made it her goal to make science and math learning fun. In 2009, Quina also received the Metrobank Foundation Award for Continuing Excellence and Service. Dr. Manuel B. D. Jr. Manny, can you stand, Manny, please? Yes. 2004, is a professor of philosophy who has been teaching in the university for 52 years. For a time, he also served as a consultant to DepEd in the development of Edukasyon sa Pagpapakatao course and continues to serve in the CHED Technical Committee for Philosophy. Dr. Ambeth Ocampo, 2006, is a historian, academic, cultural administrator, journalist, author, and independent curator who is best known for his definitive writings about the Philippines' national hero, Jose Rizal. He served as chair of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines and the National Commission for Culture and the Arts in 2014. Ambeth also received the Metrobank Foundation Award for Continuing Excellence and Service. Mr. Alfredo Laureles, 2007, served as work education teacher in the Ateneo de Manila High School. He also helped shape the Technology and Livelihood Education K-12 program. Dr. Benilda Santos, 2007, is an award-winning author, poet, film critic, editor, and professor of Filipino. Her work has been recognized by the Carlos Palanca Foundation, the National Book Awards, among others. She served as chair of the Filipino department in this university, director of the Fine Arts program, and dean of the School of Humanities in this university. Dr. Catherine Vistru, 2012, is a professor of mathematics who has taken on leadership roles the Philippine Council of Mathematics Teacher Educators, and the Mathematical Society of the Philippines. In 2024, she received the Metrobank Award for Continuing Excellence and Service for her role in developing the CHED GE course, Mathematics in the Modern World. Dr. Emeline Espiritu, 2013, is a pioneer in the country in the field of ecotoxicology. She taught for 30 years at the Ateneo and pioneered its environmental science program. In 2020, she also received an NAST Environmental Science Award for her outstanding and significant contributions and research projects in environmental conservation and protection. Until her retirement this year, she served as director of the Ateneo Research Institute of Science and Engineering. Well, to complete the roster of awardees from the Ateneo, may we also request to be present here Dr. Maria Gina M. Echanova Alampay, Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher. Thank you.
So congratulations again to all our awardees, and thank you for serving as great role models for the community. This week, we celebrate Mental Health Week. So it is fitting that this year's Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Teacher is being recognized for her contribution to community-based mental health. To speak about how to support the mental health of our youth, let us now welcome Gina Echanova Alampay.
My name is Maria Regina Echanova Alampay. People call me Gina. I'm a full professor of psychology at the Ateneo de Manila University. What is the state of mental health in the Philippines? About 1 in 8 Filipinos have a mental health problem. Unfortunately, only about 20% actually get help. Does everyone have fair access to mental health interventions? Not at all. Mental health programs are very expensive in the Philippines. People have to pay high out-of-pocket expenses for mental health services. And especially the poor. They cannot afford these mental health services. For the past decade, what we've been trying to do is to strengthen community-based mental health, which means delivering mental health interventions at the lowest level possible, whether it's the barangay level or at the level of local government units. These programs are delivered by trained providers, so they are more accessible, they are more affordable. The point of community-based mental health is that not everyone really needs to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Community-based mental health programs are programs that can be delivered for those with moderate mental health problems. So not everyone needs to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. The problem of mental health in the country is that our specialists are concentrated either urban areas or in hospitals or in facilities. When a disaster happens and a lot of people are affected, there's no mental health specialist. And so the point of community-based mental health is to train people on the ground, what they can do to help those who are distressed. One of the first programs that we developed is a program called KKDK, Katatagan, Kalusugan, at Damayan ng Komunidad. Our goal then was to provide people healthier ways of coping so that they don't need to use drugs as a way of escaping whatever problems or distress they have. The second point in KKDK is that it's delivered by the community, in the community. In the Philippines, we treat drug use as a crime. But the evidence is very strong that drug use is actually a mental health issue. People use drugs as a way to escape problems or because they don't know how to manage their emotions. So they use it to numb themselves, for example. So it's important that we look at why people use drugs and treat the root cause, which is maybe they have problems that they don't know how to solve. Or maybe they want to be able to do things and they just don't know how. So they use drugs as a way to boost themselves. So what we want to do in community-based drug rehabilitation is to provide a health lens because we do believe that drug use is a health issue. Katatagan Online is now called Katatagan Plus. So during the pandemic, we know how people's mental health really became a problem. People were isolated. People were stressed because they didn't know where to get basic needs. People were afraid of getting the disease. And people were grieving because they lost loved ones. But because of the isolation, people could not seek help. So what we did is to try to bring a resilience program online. We trained psychology students, grad students, faculty on how to deliver resilience skills. And resilience skills are like, how do I manage my reactions to stress? What can I do when I'm ruminating and thinking all negative thoughts? What can I do to actually solve the problem? A lot of times when a person is sick, we only treat their bodies. And it's very rare that a doctor will treat both the physical as well as the mental. But my dream for our country is that when we talk about healing people, we heal both their bodies and their souls.
Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino, Dr. Maria Regina Hechanova Alampay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Apologies, my voice isn't quite normal today because I'm recovering from a cough, but I hope you'll bear with me. First of all, I'd like to thank the Metrobank Foundation. I'd like to thank the Ateneo de Manila University, my home for 24 years and counting. Thank you for accepting me, even though I'm not a true blue. I'm from that other university there by the road, but honestly, Ateneo has felt home the moment that I stepped into its campus. So I'd also like to thank all of you who are here today, as well as my colleagues from the psych department, who has also been a second family to me. So I know you're here today because you're particularly interested about the issue of mental health. So may I just see a show of hands? How many are here because of your students? You want to help your students? Almost all? How many of you are here because you want to help your kids? So you might be parents who are, struggling, okay? How many of you are here because of yourselves? The young ones at the back, all right. So what I'd like to do is to share a little bit about what we can do and what schools can do or what homes can do given the rise in mental health issues. But can I start with a little bit of a game? So I'd like to just clarify some myths and facts about mental health. So very easy, if you could just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you actually believe in the statements that I will be flashing. Okay, so can you give me a thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up if you believe that poor people who have mental health conditions have poor well-being. Don't worry, this is not graded. So, thumbs up, can I see a thumbs up or thumbs down? All right? Just a few thumbs up, most thumbs down, all right? What's the right answer? So the right answer is, it's a thumbs down. So this is a myth. Why? Because you can, even if you have a mental health condition, you can have good well-being as long as you are supported. Okay, so just because people have mental health conditions does not mean you are damned for good or destined to live a life that is difficult. And I'm speaking to you not only as a psychologist, but actually as a mom. I have a son who was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. Eventually, he was also diagnosed as on the spectrum. So for a long time, for a couple of years there, beginning when he was about senior high to first years of college, it was a struggle. We had to deal with issues of ideation, even because he was really struggling with his identity, etc. But I'm happy to say that because he was supported and we did support him and make sure he got help, he just graduated last June. He's now working in his first full-time job and he's okay. So there's a lot of hope, even those who have some mental health illness. All right, let's go to the next one. Mental health problems are rare among children. Can I see a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Oh, everybody's thumbs down. So you know, right? You know that 15% of people, which is not rare, that's about 1 in 8, right? Have a mental health disorder. So, and it is rising. That's sadly, we are seeing a rise, not just in the Philippines, but globally. How about this one? Hindi naman seryoso ang mental health issues pagkabata. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Again, thumbs down, right? We know that the difficulty is when it happens during adolescence. We know that the brain is still in development. And so children still don't have the capacity to really deal with difficult issues, especially when they are facing a mental health issue. We know that suicide is the 4th leading cause of death among 15 to 29 years old. And sadly, 16%, almost 17% of Filipino adolescents have actually thought about suicide. Depression is the most common mental health problem of adolescents. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Meron konting thumbs up, Meron konting thumbs down. It's anxiety. So anxiety is far by the most prevalent mental health issue, especially among adolescents. Yung depression, some older population, especially the elderly. So here we see that among 15 to 19-year-olds, almost 5%, 4.6% would have anxiety, 2.8 would have depression, 2.4 ADHD, and same with conduct disorders. So interestingly, no, it's the younger, well, I guess to be expected, the conduct disorders are higher among the younger students. This is a little bit of a, some might say a trick question. Girls and boys are equally likely to have a mental health disorder. What do you guys think? Yes? No? Depends, sabi ni Doc Cara. So the answer is, there are gender differences. So females are more likely to have anxiety and depression, but it's the males that are higher in terms of behavioral conduct disorders. Okay? So if you find that most of the kids with anxiety and depression are female, that's because that is really the trend. And biologically, there are also explanations for that. All right. Most children with mental health issues are not given the care they need. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, thumbs up, many are thumbs up. So that's true, no? An estimated 70 to 80% of children with mental health disorders go without care. And we know that, especially in the Philippines, just to get assessed, there's a long line, about 6 months to 12 months just to get an assessment. And it's very expensive because there's not a lot of specialists available as well. So it's very hard to get into assessment. And there's also not a lot of developmental psychiatrists or child psychiatrists in the country. Okay, I think this might be my last one. Mental health problems can only be treated by mental health specialists. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down. Yes. So this is the Department of Health pyramid. And the Department of Health suggests a continuum of care from prevention to specialized care. So the point here is, rather than focusing only on the ill, those already ill, let's focus on prevention and health promotion, because we know that that's the only way to bring down prevalence. If we keep on focusing on curing the ill, we will not bring down prevalence. But by focusing on early intervention and prevention, we do have a chance of bringing down our numbers. You'll also see that, as in this pyramid, not everyone needs to see a psychiatrist or psychologist. Early interventions can be done by trained providers in schools, in communities, in workplaces. And it's only when we get higher up the pyramid that a person might need either a health professional, a mental health professional, or a specialist. So, I'm going to start with prevention and promotion. For those of you who are coming here representing your schools, what can we do? I like this framework by Campion, who says that what we do actually depends on the age, no? How old our kids are. At infancy to early childhood, we actually obviously will not focus on the child. We will focus on the parent. Either making sure that they nurture their children, they do not use substances that they might pass on to their children, and parenting programs. So programs that help them raise their children well, connect with their children, are very important at the early childhood stage. In school age, or what they call developing well, what Campion et al. Suggest is the importance of socio-emotional learning skills. And I know many of you are coming here from schools. And I think my main dream is that our basic ed curriculum does not only focus on values, but we focus on developing socio-emotional learning skills. What does that mean? It means that even at kindergarten, children are taught to recognize feelings and to regulate their feelings. And so we see, for example, in other schools, Bhutan teaches mindfulness at kindergarten going up, because mindfulness is one of the evidence-based intervention that helps regulate emotion. Play is such an important part of education and in mental health. There's this book called The Anxious Generation. I don't know if you've heard about it, that says that the difficulty today is that our parenting has shifted from play-based childhood to phone-based childhood, right? And because children are on phones and rather than in the playgrounds, when you're in the playground that you learn how to fail, to get in conflict, to manage those conflicts, to manage friendships that you don't get on phones, right? And so unstructured play especially is very important. Of course, during the school age period, mentoring and still having parenting programs are really crucial. So my daughter is now a developmental psychologist, and one of her jobs is to go to certain schools that who have children with special needs, and the guidance counselors don't know how to handle these kids. And so she handles kids with ADHD, with autism, etc. And one day she tells me, actually, Mom, it's the parents that I think need most help, more than the kids sometimes. But it's hard because the parent refuses to seek help. And so they think, cure my child, when the problem is at home or with the parent themselves. Now, Campion also suggests that as we age, and I love how aging, you see, there are interventions supposedly even for the elderly, like addressing hearing loss or life review and reablement. So the point here is that when we talk about mental health, we should not just talk about those who are ill. Let's talk about enabling well-being among the different life stages. Now, one of the programs that we developed as part of prevention to try and address the lack of social-emotional learning skills in schools is a program called Lusog Isip Kabataan Education. Let me show you a short video on this. Can we ask slide to be played?
Lusog Isip Kabataan Education, caring for adolescent mental health and preventing substance use.
In the Philippines, 1 out of 10 Filipino young adults experience moderate to severe depression. Studies show that during the pandemic, many young people experienced stress, anxiety, and depression. Research suggests that adolescents with substance use disorders have high rates of co-occurring mental illness. As a response, the Department of Health and the USAID developed Lusog Isip Kabataan Education. LIKE is a psychoeducation intervention program that aims to help the youth to learn and apply self-care techniques to improve their overall well-being and prevent substance use. LIKE aims for its participants to be able to explain the causes of stress and its effects on one's everyday life, identify healthy and unhealthy ways of coping, and understand the importance of effective coping to improve one's overall health and well-being, and apply strategies to avoid substance use and use healthier alternatives to maintain a healthy lifestyle. LIKE has 6 modules. Is stress bad? What can we do when we are stressed? What are the effects of cigarettes, alcohol, or drugs? How do we avoid using cigarettes, alcohol, or drugs? What should I do if I am forced to use cigarettes, alcohol, or drugs? How to become healthy? Each module includes an episode from Season 5 of Mind is Cool. Through the 6 25-minute episodes of this season, the viewers followed the mind-moving adventure of Mikey, Mario, Kyra, Simon, and Manong G, who guides them through a series of quests wherein they meet mental health allies and experts.
How about we tackle stress as our adventure for today? This is a special place where we can explain what happens to the human brain when we experience something like stress.
Personally po, nung napanood ko po yung mga like projects, unang-una ko pong pumasok sa isip ko, nakaka-engage siya ng mga kabataan katulad ko. Particularly sa mga presentations, sa mga videos na isang kita mo pa lang or unang sulyap mo pa lang, mas nakaka-excite sa feeling, mas nakaka-encourage siyang panoorin dahil dun sa mga visuals, sa mga presentations na inihahanda, na hindi lang sila nagbibigay ng information, bagkus nire-relate sila in our everyday lives.
The pilot of Peer Facilitated Like was conducted in Ateneo de Manila University, where BS Psychology students facilitated like as part of their NSTP and service learning.
Hello, ako si J-Love, isa sa mga natulungan personally ng like modules. Natulungan ako nito bilang isang peer facilitator, pero isa ding youth na nangangailangan ng healing mula sa mental health problems. Yung like modules, ito yung nagbibigay sa atin ng platform to discuss mental health and substances and vices and other related topics about it. So when we discuss these things, we also empower not only ourselves but also our peers to give us a sense of community and a sense of dependency with each other.
I think yung pinaka tinuturo talaga ng like is to be open about your issues, to be open about your problems to people that you care for and people that care for you, yung mga magulang natin, mga kaibigan na gustong tumulong sa atin. So yung pagiging bukas, pagiging mulat, at pagiging siguro mapagmahal sa sarili natin at sa iba.
The results of the pre-test and post-test showed significant increase in knowledge, attitudes against substance use, refusal self-efficacy, and adaptive coping.
It takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a nation to educate one. So yung pinaka-importanteng na ibigay sa akin ng like, yung message niya, is yung hindi ka nag-iisa. Kasi yung healing and yung paglaban sa sigarilyo, alak, droga ay very community-based. And tinuturuan tayo ng like doon sa mga lessons niya na maraming stakeholders na tutulong at handang tumulong at dapat tumulong para sa isang tao, bata man, matanda, youth man, na nangangailangan ng tulong against sigarilyo, alak, droga, and kailangan ng tulong sa kanyang mental health.
So the like program has actually been run, one way is the peers, where Ateneo Psych students run it for other high schools. And in fact, we have institutionalized it already as a discipline-based service learning of our department. And our students actually appreciate the fact that they have a sense of meaning and importance as they provide the program. Si J-Love formator na po ngayon sa Ateneo. But the like program has also been tested as facilitated by teachers as part of the edukasyon sa pagpapakatao course in senior high school and in junior high school. And our randomized control trial has showed very positive results. So students who went through the program also improved in knowledge, attitudes, refusal, self-efficacy, or kaya ko bang humindi pag inaalokan ako ng droga. And also just the sense of being able to cope better with their life. So these are the programs that are accessible. So happy to say that we are in the process of turning over the materials, but the videos are all open access. They can be downloaded, and we're just transferring right now all the materials to the Department of Education portal, but these are all free, open access. We have teacher manuals, videos already. So in case you're interested, I will flash my email address at the end so we can help you use it. other than prevention, I also wanted to talk about what do you do when you already have a student that is depressed. One of the things that we teach, and I actually think this is a must skill already for teachers and parents and bosses, is the skill of mental health first aid. It's not a difficult skill. It's something that can be learned. In fact, we have like one-day workshops intensive where we can teach these kinds of skill. And we just go through a process where we teach people this particular algorithm, and the acronym is ALGE. Approach someone in crisis, listen non-judgmentally, give affirmation, information, encourage self-care, and encourage people to seek help if needed. So one of the things that I'm asked, so how do I know who to approach? And one of the things that we give them as advice is look at the 5 Ds. So one is deviation. Nag-iba ba siya? Dati masayahin siya, ngayon hindi na. Dati active siya, tapos tulog na lang ng tulog. So changes in the patterns of people. And you also want to look at gaano siya katagal ng ganito. So obviously, the longer the period, more than 2 weeks, a month, then it's worrisome already. And then the other D is distress. So does the person actually feel distressed? Or sometimes it's the family that is distressed at seeing the person like this. And then the other D is dysfunction. Hindi na nagagawa na pa rin ba niya? Or hindi na niya nagagawa yung mga kailangan niyang gawin as a student, as a worker, okay, as a family member. So when people's are unable to do their responsibilities, that's also a red flag. And the last D is, does the person pose a risk to self or others? So the minute that there is some thought about suicide or harming themselves, although right now we have a lot of non-suicidal self-harm, cutting behavior among the youth, that still is a threat. We would still consider that a threat. So these are the things that we tell our teachers or our bosses, things to look out for. And then, of course, easy to say, but maybe the hardest part to train, to be honest, is how do you listen without judgment? Because a lot of times, students come to us telling us, I tried to talk to my parents, but this is what I got. Hindi. Malit na problema lang yan, ba't mo pinapalaki yung problema? Okay? Or sabihin nila, ikaw naman kasi, sinabi ko sa'yo, ganyan, 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 right? Or worse, it becomes about them. Ibig sabihin, nagkulang ako sa'yo bilang magulang, hindi kita sinusuporta. So these are the things that we always hear from our youth about their struggles when they try to talk to their parents or their teachers. What we try to also train people on is to affirm that one, thank you for opening up to me, and that it's actually okay. I think there's this whole generation of parents and bosses who feel very uncomfortable when people say they're not okay. And it's something, I don't know if it's a generational difference, that we don't want people not to be okay because it might reflect bad on us. But it's actually okay. And just telling them that I'm here for you, that I will help you, I think that's important. Or that they're not alone. So bumaksak siya, pero hindi lang naman siya yung bumaksak. I remember when I was chair, I had this student, came into the department, crying her heart out. Tinabihan ko siya sa couch and I said, what's wrong? Sabi niya, I failed my first test. And I said, okay, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's just your first test. How many tests do you still have? Can you still make it up, etc.? And she said, you don't understand. This is the first time I've failed in anything. So we have a lot of that, especially in the university. Kala nila, ang tatalino nila. Tapos pagdating dito, ay, hindi pala ako kasing talino. Or mahirap pala. And so just, affirming them that you're not the only one struggling, that it's okay, that if you're struggling, I think it's important. We should also need to teach them how to care for themselves. And I use this acronym, self-care. So Meditation, mindfulness, such a must skill, I think, especially for the youth today. But it's very hard because they're on their phones all the time and they refuse to sit still and just breathe. Kailangan parating may input and stimulus. And so just teaching them to just breathe and just be is a struggle. Another thing that we try to teach is it's okay. I feel bad. Accept it. It's okay if you're feeling bad. That emotions aren't negative. They're just your emotions, and all emotions can be valid, are valid. Of course, especially for those who are spiritual, we encourage them to lift up their worries. But sometimes it's not even spiritual. It's just telling them, is this problem within your control? Because a lot of times as Filipinos, because we're such a collectivist society, pinoproblema natin yung problema ng kapatid ko, ng nanay ko, ng kaibigan ko, dala-dala natin yon. Pero dahil wala sa control ko, I feel very anxious. And so sometimes the very first thing that we teach them is this, when we ask them, is this within your control? Because if it's not, you need to learn how to let it go. We also teach them that nutrition and sleep is so important. And that's the most difficult thing, I think, among the youth. Because they think they're invincible. They don't need exercise. They can eat what they want and they don't need sleep. Not realizing that all of that is so important to their mental health. We also teach them to avoid toxic triggers, things that stress them. And even if that stress might be apparent sometimes, it's okay to distance yourself for a while until you handle your emotions. Sorry, I skipped C, which is cleaning your surroundings and self. So teaching students, for example, or workers that a good workspace, a clean workspace, does a lot also for your mental health and well-being. And of course, we do encourage rest and relaxation, as well as exercise. I know it seems common sense, but sometimes, how sense is not common. So we have to remind students some of these things that we think they should know already, but sometimes they just forget. And then, I think, given the stigma for this and discrimination around mental health, it's actually beneficial for those who need mental, more than just, first aid, to encourage them to seek help. There's this stigma, and I know this because I was raised with parents who felt that, bringing someone to a doctor means that you're exposing the family to shame. But we need to erase that kind of culture and say, it's okay. We need to normalize seeking help. And it's not like there are no resources. And so one of the important parts of mental health first aid is information. What lines they can call. There are hotlines, and even DepEd now has a contact center. So there are lines that they can call if they feel that they need more help. When mental health first aid is not enough, we can also focus on psychoeducation and what we call psychosocial interventions. So one of the things that we just finished pilot testing is a community-based mental health program. When I say community-based, I don't mean LGU. I mean community-based is that it can be done in schools, in workplaces, and in communities. It's an 8-module program, although we tell our facilitators that they don't have to do all 8 if not all the modules are relevant to the learners or to the workers. And essentially, it's social-emotional learning skills. If we had SEL in our curriculum, grade school, high school, to be honest, we don't need this. But we are finding that it's not there, or at least not at the rigor that it should be. And so we find that we have to supplement with resilience programs like this. So in each module, we teach a particular skill like mindfulness, like distress tolerance. In Wastong Libangan, for example, we talk about addictions and ask them to reflect on what you might be doing more than you want to, whether that's, they call it now doom scrolling. I mean, I guess the younger ones would know that, right? Which is you're spending endless time on your phone, social media. So when do you know when you're doing something too much already, that it's already harmful to you? We also teach things like reframing, which is a cognitive behavioral therapy technique. And then we teach something as simple, you think as simple as problem solving, but it's actually not that simple, especially for the youth. We also teach interpersonal skills. How do you communicate to your parent in a non-aggressive way what you want or what you need? So we actually did several pilots in the workplace, in high school. I just wanted to show you this little tidbit. This was among college students, and this was a randomized control trial. And we found that, so I'm gonna go closer. So adaptive coping is coping healthily. So we found that those in the treatment group improved their adaptive coping compared to those that weight control or no treatment. Social emotional competencies, still improvement in the treatment group compared to the weight control. Happily, depressive symptoms went down in the treatment group as compared to the weight control group. Well-being also increased in the treatment group versus the control group. And I really like this graph that shows that prior to the program, we actually had 22% that fell, whose scores would fall in the depression group using the WHO-05 scale. Post-program, that 22% went down to 5%. So what does that tell us? That tells us that yes, there's still 5% that you probably will need to refer to a specialist. But at least you only need to refer 5% and not 22% because the program was able to help that many more. And these programs are run not by specialists. They are run by, in Leyte, they were run by municipal health officers. In colleges, they were run by guidance focals or guidance personnel. In the workplace, they were run by human resource staff. So our message here is it's not too late. Even if our students did not learn the social-emotional skills in basic education, there is a way that we can still help them even if they are young adults in the workplace. These are some of the qualitative feedback that we got from the program. Before the Katatagan Plus program, I didn't understand if what I was feeling was anger or annoyance. I learned how to acknowledge and accept my feelings and reflect on the root causes of my emotions. As a person who gets angry easily, the program helped me because I learned how to control my emotions. Before, when I'm stressed about an exam, I go with my friends to drink. But I don't drink now. I've managed to change that by reading a book. It got to the point that I cut myself every time I didn't know what I was feeling. Now I learned what else I can do, and I choose writing poetry. Every time my brother gets angry, he hurts himself. What I did was give him a checklist of the alternative activities that he can try. Somehow his self-harm was lessened. So there's a secondary effect. Even if the brother was not the one attending the program did help that boy secondarily through his sister. So we are very optimistic that at least there's we call it an early intervention. This is not meant as a clinical intervention for those with, diagnosed mental illness. This is meant as an early intervention for those in the middle part of the pyramid, those who are distressed but don't necessarily need clinical or mental health specialist care. So I'd like to end with that so that we can leave more room for Q&A. that mental health issues are a reality, okay? I don't think we can escape this. And I know there are some generations saying, what's wrong with these young ones today? But the truth is, it is a reality, and it's not their fault that mental health issues are on the rise. But there are things that we can do to support their resilience and their mental health. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you very much, Gina. It's great to know that there are tools and things that parents, teachers, and leaders in schools as well as in organizations can do to help us and others become mentally healthy. So we have time for Q&A. So if people want to come up to the microphones, or we know we also have online, if anyone online wants to ask a question. So we'll bring up a chair here for Gina. Gina, sit down. Feel free, if you have any questions, call a friend. If you're shy, you can pass a paper. I can also give the question for you. Do we have any questions? Grad assistants from there? Yes, ma'am. Oh, there.
Yes, Aaron here, public servant and graduate student. Question. Since we're talking about healthcare, I'm more particular with the legal aspect of this. What are your thoughts on, and any suggestions on research, effectivity, thoughts on the diversion program of the government when it comes to children conflict in law? Kasi for me, I've seen people or child fair share of children in conflict with law, particularly more into gambling, 1602 and 9165, Section 5, Section 11. Apparently, we have observed that there are no reports on this particular diversion programs. Are there any research regarding this, its effectivity and measurements? And if yes, can you suggest a few?
Okay, so our country is terrible in terms of taking care of children who are in conflict with the law or children at risk. To be honest, we don't have a lot of evidence-based programs that are being used for them, and it's really at its infancy. We just finished pilot testing of our CBDR program, but for children in conflict with the law in centers. And our findings really suggest that it's really not the child that we need to focus on, it's also their parents and their environment. But sadly, the thing is, the government locks up the child instead of the parents who should be caring for them. So recently, there are some breakthroughs. For example, the Juvenile Justice Welfare Council and the Dangerous Drugs Board released new guidelines for juveniles. And in these new guidelines, the focus now is on community-based. So no housing them in centers and taking them away from families. That's the priority. That the priority should be keeping them in schools, keeping them in their homes. The problem is our social services is quite, there's not a lot of social workers, honestly, in the Philippines. And there's not a lot of programs that are evidence-based. I know Dr. Lian Alampay has been working with the SWD on the Masayang Pamilya or parenting programs. So these, and there's good evidence on these programs. So there are some already, but truly it's not at the state that it should be in our country. There's this tendency to criminalize rather than to heal and to form. And I'd be happy if you can just email me. I'd be happy to share with you literature that we have on studies on these children. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. So it sounds like it's systemic. Everyone has to cooperate, parents, schools, so that we don't bring it to the level of, putting it in jail. Other questions? Again, online? Yes, please. Wow.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving the talk. I really learned a lot. So I'm working as a school counselor and I handle grades 1 to 12. And the school I'm working with in particular has never had a school counselor. So right now, as I'm coming in, I'm noticing a lot of resistance when it comes to the parents, especially. Like, I really resonate with what you shared with your daughter, that sometimes it's the parents that's the problem. So what can we do to better support students who are having issues with their parents? They're already voicing out that I really think I have depression, or they're already engaging in NSSI, or they're having suicidal ideation. So how can we better support those students where the home is really not a place for support? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. And congratulations, or should I say condolence, on being the first guidance counselor in your school. So two things, no? One, there are programs that social-emotional learning programs that can be provided to the kids. But especially when the kids are young, I would actually focus on parenting. Getting the cooperation of, say, the parent-teacher council to do parenting. Kahit parenting talks muna, di ba? Until there's more, more traction for parenting skills. Because honestly, it's hard if you're focusing on the child when it's the parent that's the problem, right? But I think parang we need to try both ways. A third option and a third layer would be strengthening the capacity of teachers. Because when the parent is not supportive, the child needs an adult that they want to talk to. And I know DepEd used to say, don't bother the teachers. But to be honest, I think that's insane. Because the truth is, students go to the teachers. That's their first line of defense. And so, rather than not bothering the teachers, I actually think we need to equip the teachers to do basic mental health first aid. And I have a lot of teachers who come to me and say, my students are cutting, what do I do? So I think providing this kind of service, it should be a must now for teacher training as well. Kara, do you want to help me? Okay. I'm going to phone a friend since Kara is a clinical psychologist. Baka gusto mo magdagdag, Kara?
Well, I will also say if we have to equip the teachers, then there should also be programs in the school for teacher care. Diba? So you cannot pour from an empty cup. So even the teachers, take care of them as well. Then they will be ready and, and more ready to address, especially if the parents a hopeless cause.
That's a good point. Right. Yeah. Because whenever I train for DepEd teachers on how to do this, their question is, paano naman kami? We're caring for our students, but who cares for the teachers as well? So that's a very important point. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and good luck, yes. Okay, yes, a question, yes.
So these are questions from the YouTube live stream.
Okay.
So the first one is, what can a willing parent do if the child resists seeking help?
Okay. One of the things that we try to do is encourage them to first identify somebody that they're willing to talk to. It doesn't have to be a mental health specialist right away if that is something that is not acceptable to the child. But the question is, who will the child be willing to talk to first? I'm not a clinical psychologist, but sometimes people come to me when they have problems, but they're not yet ready to talk to a specialist. So I just continue to talk to them until they feel ready. I remember when my son had a sort of a spiritual crisis, existential crisis. I said, I don't know if I can help you. Would you like to talk to Father Ben? And Father Ben, in all his kindness, talked to him. And what was so surprising is, kasi parang, you know how some kids, they go through this agnostic, I don't believe in God, or is God real? And instead of telling my son, no, you should believe in God, what Father Ben said is, it's okay. And that was so freeing for my son. And I thought, what an amazing stance. Rather than pushing beliefs down somebody, to just accept where they are and what they're ready for. And so I guess that's my message. Look for who the child might talk to, that they might be willing to listen first for now.
Wonderful. Others? Wait, maybe before you add, are there others on site? Yes, and then you can go again later, Sophie.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm speaking here today not just as a former school counselor at our family school back in Batangas, but also as an HR professional now. I guess what I would really want to ask is, during my time as a school counselor as well, I empathize with the earlier question. My role there was very unique in a way that I really wanted to advocate for the students' mental health, especially because post-pandemic, it is really evident that like a lot of students they really didn't know how to express themselves. And as much as I wanted to advocate, and in my own assignment with the grade 11 students, I wanted to apply more a style of counseling, guidance counseling that was more directed towards taking care of their mental health and their well-being. Unfortunately, what I struggled with was the culture of the school and even the directives from the administration. They wanted to focus on education first, and they didn't really want to take care of the mental health side. So I just want to ask, maybe you have your suggestions or ideas. How can we, siguro at the admin level, not just the parents and the teachers, but if it's the school administration itself are not as open, especially since it is in Batangas, we're a little bit more conservative there, a little bit more old school. How can we begin to advocate for pushing for to actually listen to the mental health of the students? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. You know, even the Assistant Secretary of DepEd in charge of school health asked me that same question. He said, how do I advocate for schools to pay attention to mental health when the focus seems to be on, right, you know, increasing PISA ratings and increasing numeracy and literacy? And we gave him some literature. We gave him some studies showing that you can't have poor mental health and perform well academically, right? You have to be well. And I think part of that is obviously advocating, but perhaps also if you are not in a position of power, then you look for the powers that be that are advocating it. So for example, right now, I'm actually happy that DepEd has actually now have a mental health program. They are now recognizing its importance. So maybe using that, for example, that even the government is acknowledging it. Or you might want to benchmark other schools that are providing mental health for their students. It depends on what is their Tagalogin ko, their mission, vision, and what's the entry, di ba? Are your administrators, are they based on logic and data? Then give them data and evidence. If their source of influence is relational or experts, then maybe get other experts or other people that they will listen to listen to them. Hope that helped.
And also with good luck with that. Okay, maybe again from online.
What do you think about kids who think it's cool to have a therapist?
I would rather celebrate that than the opposite. And I know I receive a lot of comments about, no, you know, they're abusing this, they're using mental health as an excuse. But what do we want? Do we want them not to seek help if they actually need it? So I would actually err on the side of safety and allow them to think that rather than the opposite, because those who need help might not need help. So I'd actually, for me, it's okay. It's okay that they think getting therapy is cool as opposed to not at all.
Thank you for that. Yes, please.
So, good afternoon everyone. I am JR. So, isa din po akong nagtuturo. Since pinag-uusapan po natin dito ay interventions para sa schools, At I believe parte ng school ay cyber, guard, teachers, admins, mga nagtitinda sa loob ng school, and all the utility workers. We need to see na hindi lang ito problema ng mga teachers. Buong school po ito. Ang ibig ko po sabihin is kailangan maging holistic yung ating approach when it comes to school mental health. I am standing here today because I am someone na na-trauma sa school at a very young age. And just recently, after 17 years, I went back din sa elementary school na yun, just last September 24, after 17 years. And yeah, I'm actually shaking right now, no? Just telling this story. But this is a perfect opportunity to tell this kind of story to everyone. Gusto ko lang po sabihin na kailangan maging holistic yung ating mga programs sa school. Na ngayon po nagtuturo na din ako. But before, I treated school as pinaka-nakakatakot na lugar sa buong mundo. To the point na hindi ko gustong mapunta doon, tumapak doon. Pero naon, nagtuturo na ako sa isang university. And nag-360 na ako. Pero nakikita ko pa rin kung paano nangangatalang katawan ng mga estudyante sa tuwing tumatayo sila para sumagot. At kapag sila nagkamali, same yung pangangatal, whether yan ay elementary, high school, or even college students. So, sinishare ko lang po ito kasi lagi nilang sinasabi na kailangan lang maging matatag ng mga estudyante. Pero hindi nila nakikita na meron din kailangan baguhin lahat ng nagtatrabaho sa buong school. Hindi siya responsibilidad lang ng iisang tao. Dahil ang estudyante, nakakasalimuhan niya ang guard, nakakasalimuhan niya kung sino-sino nagtatrabaho. At ibig ko po sabihin, dapat lahat sila matuto kung ano yung approach na ginagawa ng guidance counselors, ng teachers, not only the psychology department, or kung sino man po yung in charge dito. And it should be an approach na para po sa lahat. Kasi hindi masaya matrauma sa loob ng school.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but I'm happy that you're, despite the trauma, heto ka ngayon na nagtuturo, right? So I'm not sure it's whether you've overcome it, but the fact that you're there, that you're teaching, I think is admirable. I absolutely agree that a holistic approach is very necessary. So tama ka na hindi lang dapat si teacher, dapat minsan nga, di ba, mas kinakausap ng mga bata si Manong Guard, si nagtitinda, si ate sa cafeteria. So tama ka na parang this whole training people on how to deal with students has to be holistic from top to bottom. Nagdaan din tayo kasi sa iba't ibang henerasyon, sa mga teacher na dati ang tingin nila kailangan gulatin, kailangan sindakin, kailangan takutin yung mga bata, pero nakikita na din natin na nag-iiba rin. So, malaking culture change ang kinakailangan. But thank you for sharing that.
I was just like to add po na it should be trauma-informed.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I am Time from Vietnam. I am studying in LST here.
I'm sorry that I kept speaking in Filipino.
Okay. My question is, some people, they said that the vulnerability threshold of the young people nowadays is decreasing in compare with the previous generation. It means that they very easy to get depressed, easy to get stressed, very easy to get hurt compared with the previous generation. So what do you think about that? And if so, why is it? Thank you very much.
So there is that phenomenon that mental health issues are increasing globally, and there are many, many factors. Some are attributing it to changing in parenting practices. So because the world is becoming more dangerous and a scary place, there are many parents who will tend to shelter their children. So I don't know how many of you still play outside or remember playing outside. I don't know now today how many parents allow their children to play outside because the world is such a scary place. But the need for parents to protect, to nurture their children is actually, I think, is backfiring because we don't allow our children to fail and to have difficulties. And so that's one part. There's also this phenomenon of, I know the baby boomers will say, no, our world in martial law was actually more difficult. But there are some who will say, there are a lot of problems today that is overwhelming for the youth, from environment to wars to pandemics. And so the world experiencing multiple disasters, in a way, it shook their sense of safety in the world. And so that sense, the world is not safe anymore. And I remember, I had one of my kids asked me, Mom, do you regret having us and bringing us out into this dangerous world? And I go, wow, for them to think of it that way now. And I know, like some of my nephews and nieces are saying, we don't want to have children because we don't want them to come out into this world. So that sense of this world is a dangerous place, I think that's part of it. That's part of it. There's the social psychologist who will also say that the parenting, the reliance on phones, mobile, digital technologies is also creating less resilient youth. Because we don't learn to play, we don't learn to interact, everything is done virtually and digitally. Our social skills are not as strong anymore. So there are many layers, many layers. I suspect that some of the parenting issues partly might be an intersection between socioeconomic status. I mean, the middle class and above might be more protective as opposed to the lower class. But many issues that are coming up that might be raising the mental health issues of kids. Early exposure to social media. There are studies that suggest that if you expose children to social media too early, their sense of self is already influenced by having so many of these, beautiful people, beautiful experiences, the curated experiences. And unlike before, diba, when we were growing up, our sense of self is benchmarked on our friends. But now, the sense of self of adolescents is benchmarked on who they see on IG. And all of these people that they can never live up to. So especially among females, there's that sense that social media has a lot more impact on self-esteem and depression and anxiety compared to boys. So many factors that it's not their fault. And I want to reinforce that because the tendency is to put down this generation and saying, you're weak, ano ba kayo? Why are you like that? But we have to recognize that children are a product of the world and the parenting that they are surrounded with and are provided.
Thank you very much. We all said, the parents are always saying, I used to walk 3 miles to get to school, mga ganon, diba? Well, it's a different world with different set of problems. Oh, thank you. Over here, and then
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the talk. My question is about what could be formative and collective ways to help the students or the younger generation accept failure and setback, because many times it could be the cause of stress, anxiety. No? So earlier you mentioned that one student cried because it was the first time that she experienced how it is to fail in her life. And we know that as educators, our goals would always be excellence, quest for excellence. And how can we balance this quest for excellence into accepting also that in real life, we don't always excel, and there are many occasions that you are face to face with your limits, and when we are face to face with our limits, how can we really journey with the young ones so that they won't go down to depression and other things? Thank you.
So Ateneo is probably gonna kill me, but my sense is that the emphasis on excellence and grades is also creating that sense of pressure. Now, parang if you don't graduate with Latin honors, you're such a failure now because parang it's almost the norm. So there's that sense that sometimes excellence can backfire when it becomes a pressure to achieve and failure is not an option. But I truly believe that we really need to invest in developing social-emotional competencies at an early age. Teaching students that failure is okay, what more important than failure is what to do. That's why I actually encourage my kids to go to sports, because I think sports is a great way to teach them grit and resilience. So that's one, parang trying to, in our formation, let's not just focus on values, let's actually focus on developing emotional resilience and grit among our students. But I also think parenting is so important. One of the things that when given a chance to talk to parents, I tell them, you know, if you try to avoid helping your students fail, you're actually doing them a disservice. And I've had that, so many helicopter parents coming to us to complain when their child fails a particular subject. And that's college already, right? How awful. But protecting children from failure is the worst thing I think that we can do. And I remember, I had my daughter, I think she was in early high school. She had this cross-stitch project that she was cramming. And I was already reminding her, hey, your project is due. And of course, she was taking her sweet time until the night before, that it was like 1/4 finished, and she needed to submit it. And she was running for honors. So she was trying to guilt trip me to helping her do her project because her standing might go down. And I had to be tough love, and I said, no. Because if I do this for you, you will not learn. And she was crying. And I said, I will stay by you the whole night if you have to. And while she was cross-stitching, she was crying to me and trying to guilt trip me. And I said, one day, you will thank me for doing this. So ang ginagawa ko, ako na lang tiga buhol ng mga thread niya. But sometimes, that's the thing, parang we try to make life easy for sometimes when I talk to parents about what do you want for your kids, and they want to have their kids to have a good life, an easy life, and I say, I'm not sure that's doing them well, because what you want is for your kid to be resilient even when you're not there. So to be honest, trying to embed social-emotional competencies in our children and trying to train our parents about how to parent, I think, are so crucial if we want mentally healthy youth and individuals.
So did she ever thank you or not? We're still waiting.
She tells the story of that. And so I think,
narrative.
yeah, she's not there yet, but I think she will, one day maybe when she has a kid, she'll use that same line.
There you go. Yes, the young lady in the stripes. And then somebody also here after? Yeah, you're next after her. Okay.
And so, good afternoon po to everyone, especially Dr. Alampay. I am from Bataan Peninsula State University, Balanga Campus, along with my group mates here and my other classmate from org. And we are currently in the process of our study, which is inaalam po namin yung role of the internal factors like perceived social support, coping strategies, self-efficacy, and emotion regulation. And we read a lot of your studies po. And currently po, gusto po namin magkaroon ng community-based preventive programs such as yung katulad po ng sa katatagan program nyo. And we would like to ask po if what are the things that we should keep in mind in the process of our study, especially ikakandak po namin yung study namin in the DOH Treatment and Rehabilitation Center in Bataan.
Thank you. Thank you for coming all this way from Bataan. Wow. Yes. Feel very honored. My question is, why it's a TRC? Why are you conducting the study inside the treatment center and not in community?
Bali po, we had our on-the-job training in the TRC Bataan. Okay. And doon po, nakita po namin na ano po yung pwede pang gawin namin bukod po doon sa TC because they use TC techniques and other TC tools po in the rehabilitation.
Okay. Sige. So, just a warning that most of our programs, when we say community-based, they're made for low to moderate distress. So, siguro my first advice is check if your program is the right program for your participants. Because if they are in the treatment rehab centers, they might be higher risk. Okay, so that's my first make sure that they're the program, it fits your participants.
Yes po, bali po, we would like that our study would be a basis po for a community preventive program.
Okay, in that case, I'm not sure, yun nga, if the setting is the correct setting, because you can actually go directly to the communities and do the programs there. For example, Quezon City is now running K+ for adolescent mothers. So 14, 15-year-old mothers. Makati is doing it for elderly mothers naman, the other end of the spectrum, who are distressed. So I think finding the right match between the program and the participants is critical, because you don't want to run the program and then see that it's not effective because there's a wrong match to begin with. So yun lang. I think that's very important.
Hi, but thank you po.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Many people are raising their hands. So we'll have our last two. Okay.
And then just talk to me na lang during, during the break.
Yes.
Sige.
So you and then you. Okay. Our last two.
Hello. Hello po. Good afternoon po. Again, I'm Von po, and we are BS Psychology students from Bataan. And we are really happy to be here, and we learned a lot. And we've known a lot of people in here. So, aside from the research po na ikakonduct po namin about rehabilitation, sabi nila, be the change you want to see in the world. So, after so many seminars, psychoeducation, brief counseling that we have been doing as a course requirement po sa school namin, as a fourth-year students, we finally had that courage and that call to create a mental health organization within our municipality. And with that, hindi na po namin sinimula na parang students lang. Ngayon, involve na po namin lahat ng mental health professionals that there is in our municipality. Just last week, we met with the advisors and the psychology students and graduates po sa amin. And what we found out is very, wow, ganito po pala yung para nangyari sa community. And they have their own plans and they have their own presenting problems sa nangyari. So as students who have started po this mental health organization called Bukas or Bukas, what are your reminders po, ma'am, or advices for us who are only starting the organization from the scratch?
To listen to the community. A lot of times, parang those from universities, ivory tower, parang here. But one of the best lessons I learned is to listen first and find out what they need before you make suggestions, right? And sometimes you'll find that when you ask them, it's exactly what you were thinking about. One of the things that I actually appreciate your efforts, and I applaud you for doing this, because I actually believe that psych students have a lot to offer and can offer to communities. For example, Not just what we showed earlier, but I think I have some students here. Last summer, I taught a psych interventions class, and one of our service learning projects was teaching SK leaders how to do mental health literacy, because that was the need. And so I found that pwede naman pala. And these are not specialists, but can you imagine how many psych students there are all over the country? So I applaud you, and I wish you well. Siguro yun lang, makinig sa komunidad with what they need. And then, if you find that what they need is not within your competence, phone a friend. Ask your teachers for help, because you also don't want to exceed your competence as a student and do something that is beyond your capabilities then. Thank you and good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you so much po.
Yes, thank you for that. And then our final question. And again, remember, if you have more questions, we can ask them of Gina during the snacks after.
Hello, good afternoon po. I'm Gia. I'm also from Bataan. But I teach in another Jesuit school in San Juan, Xavier School. I work there as a guidance counselor. My question is, because earlier you shared about the ALJ, and I really appreciate the emphasis on listening. Empathy, very important. Working in an all-boys school, exclusive all-boys school, is very challenging, because even if they have similar concerns, being able to listen to them without judgment has been a challenge from the very beginning. This year, we're privileged to actually set up a safe space committee. So we've been calling ourselves informally the counselors as safe spacers. And Xavier School, we always put XS everywhere. So it's like safe space, with all the excess. I'd like to ask, so being a formator, it's very important for us to be a safe space to not just to our students, but also to our colleagues. How can we strengthen that? How can we nurture that kind of space? Because we understand that being someone who can listen to other people, especially for the students, that's when they become vulnerable, open, and that's the time that we can also help them and correct them. Because without relationship, it's hard for formation to take place. So any advice and maybe concrete ways to help our students and also teach the teachers to continually be a safe space. Thank you po.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna phone a friend later, Kara, ha? If there are ways, kasi parang there are gender differences in how people communicate. And I know parang boys don't like to talk about feelings, right? And so, parang bata yan, baka dapat indirect muna versus asking them how they feel. But I wanna address the issue of you being a safe space. I think it's important, and Kara mentioned this earlier, that formators also have safe spaces. So you're not just providing a safe space for others, but you also have a space safe for yourself. Because otherwise, compassion fatigue, burnout, that's such a reality for those in the helping profession. So just carving out time for you guys to just debrief and just be there for each other, I think is important. Ateneo just shifted to co-ed this year. But for the longest time, it's also been a bastion of masculinity. And it's true that it's really hard, especially in our culture where parang you don't talk about your feelings kung lalaki ka. And it's actually so hard to break that sort of mindset. And maybe Kara can talk about that a little bit, that sometimes you can't ask that directly. Kwentuhan muna, basketball muna, tapos saka yung side kwento, right? When I was in HR, I found that it was in the non-formal conversations, it was in the informals that they would open up about something personal. And so the challenge is, how do you get them to come to you in that informal way without that formal session? And it has to be, something that interests them. Phone a friend, Kara?
Well, I don't know. Are you when you say your Xavier School, are you connected with the Xavier of San Juan?
Yes,
okay.
Guidance.
Because they do have the mentoring program where they have those periods where you're just hanging out with your teacher and maybe you'll watch a short. I remember that my son and Xavier, they'd watch NBA for 30 minutes. So it's really the idea is how can you go to emotional sharing, intimate sharing, if there's no companionship sharing, that sense of just being comfortable with the other. So we call that companionship support. And then it can go deeper into emotional support. But if I don't know you, we don't interact, how can I then even engage and share my deepest, darkest, saddest feelings? Yun. And
so
then,
mas malaki yung demand, no? For formators, because they have to establish an
Chill.
informal relationship with their boys before the boys might open up.
Yeah, and then what you said a while ago, it's harder to talk to boys because why? No, it wasn't that. The teachers don't like to hear. I think that's what I heard. What did you say? Parang, it's harder to talk to, well, just complete the sentence. It's harder to talk to boys because... because there you go. Oh, also, there are other ways. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be verbal. Non-verbal. Drawings, even boys like to, they about make cartoons and comics. So there. It doesn't have to be verbal, oral.
You can use songs.
Oh, there you go.
Ask them to share with you a favorite song and then process that and why.
Yeah.
So more
their
indirect
interests.
methods.
Their interests, yeah. Right. Okay. All right. So again, thank you very much. I'm so happy with all the questions that have come in, both from the professional as well as the student participants here today. So again, remember, when we're having our snacks, you can go up to Gina. And you saw her email address there, rhchanova@ateneo.edu. Now, for we're nearing the end, may we call again on Mr. Chito Sobrepeña and Mr. Philip D. to present the tokens from the Metrobank Foundation. Okay. So as they're coming up, the Metrobank Foundation is pleased to present the following tokens. Okay. Okay, can I ask Father Bobby and Marlu, VP Marlu, to come up? So the Metrobank Foundation, come up, is pleased to present the following tokens. Made of Gold Coffee Table Book, a collection of winning art pieces of the Metrobank Art and Design Excellence, or MADE program over the years. There you go, Made of Gold. Yay. Picture. Thank you. And we're not yet done. Second, the 2024 Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipino Souvenir Programs, containing the profiles and stories of the 2024 awardees. Yan. So picture again. Thank you. So thank you very much, Sir Chito, Sir Boyet, and the Metrobank Foundation. Okay. Okay, Father, don't sit down. To formally close our event, let us hear from the President of the Ateneo de Manila University, our beloved Father Bobby.
Mr. Chito Sobrepeña, President, Metrobank Foundation. Mr. Boyet D., Executive Vice President, Metrobank Foundation. Welcome home to Ateneo. The past honorees of the Metrobank Outstanding Teachers, particularly Dr. Manny D. Colleagues, partners, friends, magandang hapon. Let me begin by expressing my warmest congratulations and gratitude to our distinguished speaker. I won't say the full name, it's too long. Dr. Gina Hechanova Alampay. Anyway, I have your picture on my folder. A devoted and generous teacher, researcher, and mentor. Gina's distinctive abilities and qualities make her one of the university's beloved faculty members. and a great role model to students, especially those who wish to build a career in psychology. Thank you, Gina, for sharing your experience, research, insights, and wisdom on a critical issue that affects everyone, mental health. There is plenty to reflect upon the points raised by Gina. Perhaps the most important takeaway is the role of schools in supporting and promoting positive mental health and well-being. Even before the pandemic, evidence suggests that schools play a pivotal role in creating an environment that not only promotes mental health, but also prevents mental health issues by having early intervention policies and strategies in place. Young people face many issues from academic and peer pressure to self-image and sometimes family dysfunction. All these factors can be a lot to deal with, especially for a young person still undergoing physical and emotional development. Our youth cannot and should not deal with these issues alone. They need guidance. As teachers and parents involved in the education and formation of these young people, it is our shared responsibility to help them develop resilience that will enable them to navigate their thoughts and emotions through the peaks and valleys of life. Our goal is not to isolate nor insulate them from adversities and challenges, but to guide them through and help them understand that they should not bear the weight alone. Schools are places where students not only expand their knowledge, but also their connections, building and nurturing healthy relationships that foster personal, professional, intellectual, and spiritual growth. Schools are also spaces that encourage students to flourish, emboldening them to discover and learn about themselves, each other, and the world around them. In deepening these learnings, reflections, and connections, they also develop their whole person, hopefully drawing them closer and deeper into a relationship with God and encouraging them to live and lead lives for and with others. Ateneo de Manila strives to achieve transformational impact in teaching and learning, whole person formation, research, and social engagement, while preserving and promoting the health and well-being of every member of the university community. We have and shall continue to integrate health and well-being, policies, mechanisms, and systems into our curriculum, formation, research, and outreach across the university. We are fortunate and blessed to have people committed to helping students flourish through teachers like Gina, Dr. Manny D, Dr. Achut Koyegkeng, Dr. Len Espiritu, Dr. Kathy Vistroyu, Dr. Ambeth Ocampo, and Dr. Kinali Chua. We also thank our retired teachers, Mr. Pagsi, Dr. Benny Santos, Dr. Cristina Astorga, Mr. Fred Laureles, Mrs. Ching Chiki, Ms. Julia de la Cruz, and Mr. Renato Carvajal, who help students grow not only in head knowledge, but also in heart knowledge. We likewise express our gratitude to teachers who have passed on, but will live on in the minds and hearts of their students. Dr. Ramon Reyes, Dr. Marijo Ruiz, Dr. Doreen Fernandez, and Dr. Ricky Abad, who will be honored posthumously with Gawad Tanglaw ng Lahi in November this year. Dr. Doreen was also a Gawad Tanglaw ng Lahi awardee in 2003, and Dr. Marijo Ruiz received the Luxin Domino Award in 2014, a capstone award that honors extraordinary individuals who embody the noblest ideals of the university. Finally, I thank the Metrobank Foundation for recognizing the best of our teachers and the best of our fellow Filipinos. Thank you for honoring the noble work of exemplary teachers, military, and police officials. To our outstanding Atenean teachers, thank you for all you have done, all you are doing, and all you will do to ensure that our Filipino youth have a conducive learning environment that allows them to flourish and realize their fullest potential. Magandang hapon, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much, Father. So before we end, we would like to take a few photos. So can we come up here, Sir Manny D, Marlu, Father Ben, Gina, Sir Chito, Sir Boyet, and me. All right. Please take your seats and sit down where you came from. We're gonna now take a picture. Stand. We'll have everyone stand? Okay, everybody stand and we'll take a picture from the stage. Yes. So yeah, so go back now. All right. Stand now. Everybody stand. If everyone can come closer. Yan. Everyone come closer, audience. Please join us. Okay, yes. Forward. Come nearer. Don't be shy. Come on. Those in the back. Ma'am, sir. Layo nyo. Okay. Okay na? Oh, compress daw. Tighter, tighter. Again, come forward. Okay. So tell me what to do. What do you want her to do? Well, sige lang, okay lang yan. Okay. Are you good? Do we need to do something? We're good? Compress. Sideways. Okay. Those on the right facing the stage, please go to the back. Until who? The one in fuchsia, until ako, Kara. Ako, hindi. Ah.
So, kailangan niya mag-skills.
Better? Yes, perfect. Okay. 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay. Yay! Well, that's wonderful. All right. So with that, thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. And for those of you who are online, thank you for joining us. And for those of you here in Arete, do join us for refreshments at the back. Thank you very much and happy Mental Health Week to all.
deserve.